A steel watch that originally sold for a few $100s can now sell for over 17 million. Not because it tells time better, not because it's more accurate, and certainly not because the materials justify the price. The strange reality of Rolex is that almost nobody is buying a watch. They're buying access to a hierarchy. Most people think Rolex is a luxury brand. They're wrong. Rolex is a social sorting machine. At the lower levels, you're purchasing recognition. At the higher levels, you're purchasing access. And at the very top, you're purchasing historical permanence. The gap between the cheapest Rolex and the rarest Rolex isn't measured in money, it's measured in power. Today, we're breaking down the 7 levels of Rolex ownership, from the steel entry ticket all the way to watches that have become dynasty assets traded between billionaires, museums, and auction houses. Let's get into it. Level 1. The entry illusion. Rolex Oyster Perpetual. This is where almost everyone starts. The Oyster Perpetual is the purest Rolex in existence. No date, no complications, no flashy bezel. Just a steel Rolex with one purpose: getting you into the club. The brochure tells you it's timeless simplicity. The reality is that it's a social credential. Most first-time buyers imagine ownership itself is the achievement. Then they discover the first truth of luxury goods: nobody notices. Outside of watch enthusiasts, the average person cannot distinguish an Oyster Perpetual from a watch costing 1/10 the price. The impulsive buyer enters expecting status. Instead, they receive a lesson in diminishing returns, yet this level serves a purpose. It teaches the owner the Rolex ecosystem, authorized dealers, purchase history, relationship building. Scarcity games. If level 1 was about status, level 2 eliminates status by introducing functionality. Level 2, the daily utility, Rolex Air King and Milgauss. Rolex Air King / Milgauss. The Air King and the Milgauss exist for people who actually care about engineering. The Milgauss was designed to resist magnetic fields up to 1000 Gauss. The Air King traces its roots back to aviation. These watches have stories, technical identities, practical purposes. The brochure tells you you're buying specialized engineering. The reality is that almost nobody buying one needs anti-magnetic protection or aviation heritage. They're buying differentiation. At this level, owners stop chasing recognition. They're chasing justification. They want a reason for the purchase beyond luxury. But the problem remains. The watch is still widely obtainable, still replaceable, still part of the retail ecosystem. If level 2 was about functionality, level 3 eliminates functionality by introducing recognition. Level 3, the recognized icon. Rolex Datejust. This is the watch that built the Rolex empire. The Datejust is arguably the most successful luxury watch ever created. Fluted bezel, Jubilee bracelet, instant recognition. This is where Rolex stops being a product and becomes a symbol. The quiet wealth operator loves the date just because it communicates success without appearing desperate. The brochure tells you it's versatile. The reality is that it's a universal social signal. Law firms, private equity firms, family businesses, real estate offices. The date just appears everywhere because it's understood everywhere. Its power comes from standardization, but standardization creates a limitation. Everyone knows what it is. Everyone can get one. Everyone recognizes it, which means exclusivity disappears. If level 3 was about recognition, Level 4 eliminates recognition by introducing capability. Level 4, the professional tool. Rolex Submariner. The Submariner changed everything. This is no longer jewelry pretending to be a tool. This is a tool that accidentally became jewelry. Water resistance, ceramic bezel, professional diving heritage, decades of engineering refinement. The brochure tells you it's a dive watch. The reality is that most submariners will never see a diving tank. What buyers are actually purchasing is credibility. The Submariner is the first Rolex that signals competence rather than success. It's respected by collectors, respected by professionals, respected by investors. This is where serious capital begins entering the conversation. Not because the watch is rare, but because the owner understands why it matters. Yet even the Submariner depends on public infrastructure, retail channels, dealer networks, market availability. If Level 4 was about capability, Level 5 eliminates capability by introducing access. Level 5, the international operator. Rolex GMT-Master 2 Pepsi and Batman. This is where the waitlist game begins. And the waitlist is the entire point. The GMT-Master 2 was originally built for airline pilots crossing time zones. Today, it has become a symbol of global mobility. The brochure tells you you're buying a travel watch. The reality is that you're buying access to scarcity. The Pepsi and Batman variants exist in a strange economic universe. Official retail price becomes almost irrelevant. Secondary market value becomes the true price. At this level, ownership isn't determined by money alone. It's determined by relationships, dealer allocations, purchase history, network access. The international operator understands that scarcity creates leverage. The watch itself becomes secondary. The allocation becomes the asset. If Level 5 was about possession, Level 6 eliminates possession by introducing sovereignty. Level 6, the sovereign power. Rolex Day-Date President in gold or platinum. Rolex Day-Date President. This is the real power watch. Not the Daytona. Not the Submariner. The Day-Date. Presidents wore it. Kings wore it. Industrialists wore it. The watch earned the nickname, the President, for a reason. Every Day-Date is made exclusively in precious metals. Gold, white gold, rose gold, platinum. No steel versions. No shortcuts. The brochure tells you it's Rolex's flagship luxury watch. The reality is that it's an identifier, a signal directed at a very specific audience. People who control capital, people who allocate resources, people who own infrastructure. At this level, wealth is assumed. The conversation shifts to influence. The day-date owner doesn't need validation. He needs recognition from peers operating at the same altitude. But even this remains an asset, something that can be valued, bought, sold, replaced. If Level 6 was about an asset class, Level 7 eliminates asset class by introducing legacy. Level 7, the Dynasty artifact. Rolex Daytona Paul Newman and rare factory gem set references. This is where Rolex leaves the luxury market entirely. A Paul Newman Daytona sold for over $17 million. At that number, the watch is no longer competing against watches. It's competing against artwork, historic automobiles, masterpieces, trophy assets. The brochure doesn't exist at this level. Because Rolex never intended most people to reach it. The reality is brutal. Money alone isn't enough. Thousands of millionaires cannot buy these watches because owners simply refuse to sell. These pieces become dynasty artifacts, family vault assets, museum candidates, auction house legends. The watch stops measuring time. Instead, it measures historical significance. A rare factory gem set Daytona or a Paul Newman Daytona becomes part of cultural history. Ownership transforms into stewardship. The buyer isn't purchasing an object, they're temporarily inheriting a chapter of history. And that's the final evolution of Rolex. Not luxury, not status, not wealth. Permanence. The 7 levels of Rolex reveal a pattern most people never notice. Level 1 buys entry. Level 2 buys justification. Level 3 buys recognition. Level 4 buys capability. Level 5 buys access. Level 6 buys sovereignty. Level 7 buys permanence. And that's the hidden architecture behind the entire brand. Because Rolex was never really selling watches. It was selling increasingly exclusive layers of reality. Level 1 buys access. Level 7 buys a world with no one else in it. If this was useful, subscribe. I break down how things actually work, not how the brochure describes them. See you in the next one.